Good morning. How are you? Welcome to my left ear. It is February 28th, Sunday, and this is Political and Psychic Commentary. It's a left-leaning YouTube site, so if you're not left-leaning, this will not make you happy. You should go away, okay? It's a warning, friendly warning. My name is Carrie Freeman, and I do this commentary and I pull runes on current political situations that are going on and people, sometimes just life. And I am a change agent. I do private sessions and I help people through therapeutic hypnosis and psychic coaching. And in the description section, there's an email for me and all kinds of information. Take a look. Now, this is a very serious session today because I'm talking mostly about Ukraine and war. So it's very, what do I want to say, grave, serious, grounded. And if you find you like it, would you hit the like button and would you please subscribe? We're trying to help this grow. Thank you. And it is for entertainment purposes only, especially today. The first thing I want to say, and my left ear wants to say, is we are watching the fall of Vladimir Putin. It's a little bit slow-mo, but it's happening. And let's unpack it. Let's go right to it. Now, I want to say something that previously my left ear predicted that Putin would commence an attack on Ukraine, but would it be somewhat short-lived? What's happening, this is someone else's quote, but I can't remember who said it, because I like to be honest. The Russians are underperforming and Ukraine is overperforming. And the Russians did not, or Putin did not bank on all the support Ukraine would get and how the passion and fearlessness of the Ukrainian people would be in play. And I'm going to talk about that a little more on the subject of clarity. Also mentioned, actually a number of times, and even before he was elected, I think, I talked a lot about when Joe Biden becomes president, the European alliances, which have were fractured, would strengthen. That he would appear, he would go to work. He has all this years of experience with foreign policy, and he did just that. And now all these alliances and NATO, even people that aren't in NATO, are strengthened, and we're all on the same page through largely Joe Biden's efforts. And he is, I'm so happy to say, he's receiving praise on his choices, his performance, all of it. And I want to say, applaud, applaud. I am so grateful that we have him in this position right now. All right, so here's how I started. At home, earlier, I threw the runes, and this was the question, because I have a number of runes to share with you now. What's the overall energy this week? That's what I asked. What's the overall energy this week? And the runes were kind of wild today, I'll tell you. Well, the rune Gateway came up in the first position, but reversed, all right? And it says there's a quickening of development of a situation. Well, that would be true, wouldn't it? There is growth, but there is reason to halt, and that makes sense. It's that forward, back, think, strategize, move forward. That makes sense. And it talks about integrating the new and considering the old, and that would be Putin's personality, Putin's presence. Now, this is very interesting what the rune said. This really got to me. It said clarity of intention. This is what in that the reversed rune Gateway. Clarity of intention is everything here. And here's the thing. President Zelensky, our hero, has clarity of intention. He wants to save Ukraine. He didn't escape. He's risking his life. He has clarity of intention. And Putin doesn't really have that. He wants to co-opt the country, but that's kind of it. He doesn't really have a valid reason. So there's a lot of propaganda involved. So clarity of intention. He's making up reasons. Then the second rune was the self, again, in the reversed position. And it says, if you are blocked, go silent for a moment. This is some kind of a beginning, okay? This week. And then the last one, which I love, because we're talking about, I said, what's the energy for this week? And I think this week is going to be really active, okay? So the final rune is fertility, upright, new beginnings. New beginnings, and then my left ear said with changes, new beginnings with changes. And it's about adjusting in the sphere of new relationships. And of course, the dignitaries, the people who negotiate are getting together in Belarus, I think at the end of this week, to negotiate. I don't know what they're negotiating. I mean, President Zelensky is not giving up Ukraine. I don't know, but I suppose it's a good sign. But this rune, fertility, it marks a time of joyous deliverance, a new path. Something can be resolved, it says, clarified, turned around. Really, this rune. It signals emergence from a closed chrysalis state. And I interpreted that as this liberation of Ukraine, maybe forever now. And also I got this flash, my left ear got this flash, that when this starts to settle down and resolve, which is going to be a while, I think Ukraine is going to get invited into NATO, largely from the performance and the intentions of President Zelensky. And it does say you may be required to free yourself from a relationship, some deep cultural pattern. And how long has this been going on, right? And it does say, and this is what we're experiencing right now with these tragic deaths and children's deaths, people fleeing their homes. It says the period just before birth is a dangerous one. The period just before birth is a dangerous one. So I just want to say, based on this, my left ear feels like by the end of the week, there's some kind of positive progress or news. Then my next rune, I asked the question, will President Zelensky survive? And I'm going to go through the runes, but I'm just going to tell you, yes. Yes, we do believe he's going to survive this. Even though he has said, you may never see me again, he doesn't know what's going to happen to him. But I got the rune of journey, however, in the reversed position. It says, you're put on notice to be attentive to relationships, you think. Ruptures are likely, you think. Hoped for outcomes may elude him. Obstacles and failures and even deaths are rerouting opportunities, according to this rune, because it's a rune of union and reunion as the destinations. So it's pretty literal. Then the second rune makes everybody uncomfortable. It's the blank rune. It's unknowable. Any way you turn it, it's just white. And I think this rune was really about Putin and less about Zelensky, because it said it's the end and it's the beginning. The blank is the end and it's the beginning. It could portend a death in relationship to any way you have been living your life now. Tells me the war may end. Represents the path of karma, that would be both leaders. requires a huge act of courage. That would be Zelensky. And it's a leap into the void. And President Zelensky has leapt into a void to try to save an entire sovereign country. And so this will be the total sum of his actions and consequences. And then we got the warrior reversed. He just needs to be careful about making hasty or ill-timed actions or decisions. The rune asks, are you doing the task for its own sake? And that would be a big yes in terms of President Zelensky. President Zelensky has found his moment of karma, his destiny. It's now, it's with this country. And my feeling from the rune is that he will survive this crisis and actually will flourish. We go on now. Another rune I pulled, will Ukraine prevail? And you know what? I got a yes. And then it reminded me, last night I was thinking, I didn't write it down, but I was thinking, I love the movie and the story of the horse Seabiscuit. It's a great movie, by the way, if you haven't seen it, with Jeff Bridges, Tobey Maguire. Seabiscuit came from behind. No one believed in Seabiscuit except this one trainer, and Seabiscuit won. So overcame great odds. And that's what it feels like with Ukraine. It's Seabiscuit. It's coming up from behind. So it got the Rune of Separation in the reverse position. There were a lot of reversals today. You may be called upon to undertake a radical departure from old ways. Well, right now, Ukraine is taking a radical departure. I mean, thousands and thousands have packed up and left their homes. They don't know if they're going to see their husbands again, their brothers, their sons. So already this radical departure has happened. But it says be adaptable and skillful. They are. Act according to the light you now possess. And you know what that light is, my friends? That's the light that's coming from the Ukrainian people because they love their country. And this light of no, you won't take us is coming off of them. Surprise Putin, because he doesn't have the light. He doesn't understand the light. He understands power. And I guess destroying, because he's also a murderer. So act according to the light. All right, then the next one was initiation. And it's associated with the phoenix, the mystical bird which consumes itself in the fire and then rises from its own ashes, which when you think about it, it's really literal, isn't it? This rune is concerned with the deepest stratum of being, with the bedrock on which your destiny is funded. And Ukraine just feels like a place there's bedrock. And it does say, renewal of the spirit is at hand. Now, I know today we're right in the middle of it, hanging on for the Ukrainian people. The whole world has coalesced for the most part to help them. But this is where I'm at right now, that Ukraine will prevail. And it will be tough to watch. And it is tough to watch. Something came over me the last few days. Is anything going on with Putin's health? So I just, a couple of runes. And I asked, is he ailing or will he be ailing? And I got initiation reversed. And it says the old way has come to an end. Cannot repeat the old way without suffering. Isn't that interesting? And then I got this rune for Rudy Giuliani, and it is the stand still. It is like one line that just goes up and down, like a pole. It's not a one, it's not an L, it's just a pole. And the message is, the winter of your spiritual life is upon you. Okay, now as that isn't enough about Putin's health circumstances, The last rune I got, and you'll recognize this from the tarot, is disruption. Yes, there is a disruption rune in the runes. And it's like the Tower card. I'm going to be real cheeky and say Vlad Putin is about to go through some things. I just kicked the light, sorry. Then I asked, we're winding it up now, but I really had a lot of questions, and I thought you would too. Did this on your behalf. I just guessed what you would like to hear, because often it's what I want to hear, I want to address. Will inflation drop before November 22nd? Because that has something to do with how people vote. Not that this is Biden's fault, but a lot of people will blame him for it. And I got a yes. But slowly. And I got wholeness. I got the rune of wholeness. And wholeness marks a time of regeneration. So we have to be patient with this inflation thing. My eyes like bug out of my head. You know, when I go to get gasoline or grocery shopping, I just can't believe what we're looking at. But it's going to even out a little bit, but it's going to take some time. Okay. Now I just did some bullet points, newsy bullet points that maybe you didn't know. And I'm just going to run through them. 360,000 refugees have escaped Ukraine. Beautiful man, Chef Jose Andres, is setting up food at the borders in Ukraine for the refugees. God bless this man. The Republican army is getting killed 10 soldiers to 1. So for every 1 Ukrainian that dies in battle, 10 Russians die. It's sort of amazing, isn't it? Germany has sent missiles to give to the Ukraine, and Belgium is supplying 3,000 automatic rifles to them and more. I missed the last detail on that, so I'm not going to try to fill it in. Japan is donating $100 million in humanitarian effort, aid. Canada, I really like this one. Canada and other countries are closing their airspace to any Russian airplanes, jets. And that would be domestic too, or private, because a Russian politician, I don't have his name written down, he flew out on business in Europe, and he was refused in Sweden and one other place, and that private plane had to turn around and go back to Russia. So there's nothing this guy could do about it. That's more and more of that is happening. It's so smart. All over, they're freezing assets of government officials and the oligarchs, and now 3 oligarchs are speaking out, and they don't like it. Of course they don't like it. But 3 oligarchs are speaking out about the unnecessary war. And then Putin asked Kazakhstan to help him with this Ukraine project, and they refused him. So he's a slow-mo. This was a terrible decision that he made. Terrible. And a number of people are agreeing that there's like something wrong with him, that he's not. Well, Michael McFaul, who was ambassador and lived in Russia for years and years, he's speaking a lot now because he knows so much about Putin, the oligarchs in Russia. And he said, without question, he has changed. He is not operating like he has always operated. There's something going on with him, and some people think it's neurological, but he is unhinged and he is in a rage. And he put his nuclear deterrence forces into high alert, and he attributed his decision to aggressive statements from the West against Russia. Well, you know, he's like Trump. Everything that comes out of his mouth is a lie or a manipulation. But I'll tell you what, I didn't throw runes on this nuclear threat. It's not going to happen. But it's ugly, it's awful, and it shows you how nuts he is. And he's scared. So this is bluster, but it's awful bluster. And it does need to be looked at. I mean, you know, it's horrible. Now, on another note, inside the United States, you know, the horrible governor of Texas, Greg Abbott, who set forth that the terrible abortion laws and how people can report on each other and make $10,000, and he was in the office when the electrical grids broke, and some residents of Texas froze to death. Well, that was investigated, and one of the chief operators or whatever was questioned under oath this past week, and he said they got a direct instruction from Governor Abbott, no place else, Governor Abbott, to gouge the energy prices that winter, the winter that some people froze. So this went public, and people were kind of shocked. But on Twitter, I wrote, well, this is absolutely fabulous news, because this is going to get Beto O'Rourke elected. So that's what I meant. It's incredible for Beto's platform to get up there and be able to tell them, do you know why some of you died? Do you know why you can't afford your bills? Because your governor gouged the prices. Ugh, it's so evil. I'm going to read my quotes, and then I'm just going to tell you a little story about good evidence and kindness on the street. But there's a woman named Catherine in New Mexico, and she's really lovely and supportive of me. And she sent me 2 quotes last week, and I like them. So thank you, Catherine. And here they are. Now, the first one is anonymous. Someone may recognize it. It says, we are all faced with a series of great opportunities brilliantly disguised as impossible situations. I feel like I heard something like this before, but I just love it, and it's just the way to reframe a big problem. We are all faced with a series of great opportunities brilliantly disguised as impossible situations. So that's a good one. Thank you, Catherine. All right, now this one is by a man named Edward Teller, and I neglected to look him up, so I can't tell you who he is. He said, when you get to the end of all the light you know, and it's time to step into the darkness of the unknown, faith is knowing that one of 2 things shall happen. Either you will be given something solid to stand on, or you will be taught how to fly. Very poetic, really wonderful. So for those who want to hang around, I'll tell you about my good evidence. This is kind of funny adventure. I went to pick up a very old friend of mine at Bob Hope Airport, which is 15 minutes from my house. It's previously Burbank Airport. And so, of course, I had the time, and I called, and to time and everything. But it's a fairly small airport, so you're in a line, and you pull up to loading, and they've got the different airlines. But in a minute, if you don't watch it, you're out of that line, and you're circling the airport again. So I just kept circling the airport, and I couldn't see my friend. And then I pulled over once in front of Southwest, and there was a little man with the orange jacket and a whistle. And they're very, keep moving. And he points to me and he goes, you're in a loading zone, or you're in a walk zone. And I couldn't understand him. So I got up and I said, I'm sorry, I didn't understand. He said, you got to move. You can't park there. I went, oh, okay. So I go out and I make another. Then I go and I park not in a loading zone or a walk zone. And I'm sitting there. So now I see 2 policemen. They're just kind of standing there because they're supposed to be. And they're just talking. They're not. So I get out of my car, walk up to one policeman. And I said, and he was like, yeah, can I help you? And I said, so my friend is coming in on Southwest. Is there a baggage claim here, or is it way over there? And he goes, no, it's way over there. And I said, I know she's here because she texted me. So I went around again and she wasn't there. So now I pulled up in front of the same cops again. And the one cop I talked to came over to me, and now he's standing at the window. So he wants to help me. Now, I'm going to tell you a little side bonus. He was so handsome. He had this thick silver hair, and he was just really striking. And then he was nice to me. And well, he said, so what does she look like? What's her name? And I said, you know, blah, blah, and this is what she looks. So he said, I'm gonna go. But before that, the little guy with the whistle saw me stop again. And he goes, what, you can't find your friend? And I said, no, I can't find her. He goes, okay, I'm going to give you 1 minute. You go into baggage. And if she's not there, you come right back. And I went, I promise. Well, she wasn't there. So I came. So now he's involved, the little guy with the whistle. And he goes, she not there? And I went, not yet. So I pulled out, went around. Now I'm in front of the handsome cop. And so now he's going to go and try to find her for me. He said, you stay here. I'm going to go try to find her. So I get out of the car and I'm saying, do I see her? Do I see her? Because she texted me that she was there. And I see her and I'm like waving, waving, waving. So now she starts to walk towards me and she goes, you know, there's a cop looking for Christine, but he passed me up. And I said, oh, he befriended me. He's trying to, so now he shows up and we're waving. He goes, is this her? And I went, yeah. And so she got in the car, we got her, packed. And then by that time he was up near my car. So we chatted with him for a minute. I thanked both men because it was like it took a village to help me pick up but the little guy with the whistle was he says, okay, you found her, everything okay? But he was really nice to me, but he was like, he runs that lane. You would not cross that guy. But I loved it when he said, okay, I'll give you 1 minute. And then so Christine got in the car and she goes, I think that cop liked you. It was really fun. But that was good evidence. That was kindness on the street. And it really lit me up. I mean, it just made me feel so good to see how people would help me if I was nice to them. So there you go. I'll probably, I don't think what's going on right now can wait like a week, so I'll probably gather up some stuff and show up Wednesday or Thursday. We'll see what happens, but I do predict some dang, whopping news towards the end of the week. That's a big help, right? Just kind of wait. It's just feeling that energy. So make peace, make memories. And thank you for all the notes. Really nice. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.